Hello, hello, everyone. Happy Friday. Woo!
Hello
or,
everyone.
or
Welcome.
better yet, should I add?
I was wondering what was happening.
Woo! I just had to do that. It's so awesome because now StreamYard lets you add your own music, your own background music. So I'm like, okay, let me add some sound effects. I feel like sound effects make things a lot more interesting. Don't you think, Gabriel?
Yeah. I was actually okay. Well, you told me about it, but then I forgot, and then I was wondering where's the sound coming from, and then I remembered.
You're like, what in
Yeah,
the
it makes so much
world?
interesting.
What's happening?
Yeah, I wanted to look at my system. What's happening? Where are you playing that from?
Am I okay? Well, it is Friday. Happy Friday, everyone. Thanks for tuning in on your Friday. It's super awesome to see you guys and well, not really see you guys, but know that you're here and watching. It's super awesome. We have some really cool things that we will be working on today. Let me check my notes. So basically, we will be creating our front end app, our Blazor app to test our API and to view our API. And I'm super excited. I've been working on it just this past week. So but like this stuff is new to me and I've been learning as well. And I'm just so excited to share with you guys. How are you feeling, Gabriel?
Oh well, I'm excited to learn from you today.
I think I'll do a great job. So fingers crossed.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. Uh, I'm just looking forward to how you're going to present everything, how we're going
Yes,
to learn new stuff, and grow as usual.
awesome. And don't worry, like if anything happens, I have my notes up. I made notes
Yes.
and I have shared them in our Discord server. So if you're not a member yet, make sure you go to our .NET Book Study website and click the join now button so you can have access to those resources. So but I think it's time to get into the upcoming events. So we have something that's very interesting that we're looking at. It is a 2022 summit for the .NET Foundation. This is happening July 20th. So today is the 15th. So like I think that's in 5 days. So
Yeah.
I see that it's like a free virtual event if anybody's interested in attending. It says, let me see if I can zoom in. It says, welcome to the very first .NET Foundation Summit. This free and virtual event celebrates the open source community and its projects in and around the .NET ecosystem. We will be featuring talks from some of the most prominent members of the .NET open source community. We will hear their origin stories, path to becoming these super famous open source projects, and ways to use them in real-world applications. We cannot contain our excitement to bring this great event to you and share these stories. That sounds pretty fun to me. That sounds really
Yeah.
fun. I like how they say that the ways to use them in real world applications. I feel like that's so important. We talk about this a lot. Like I feel like it's one thing to learn, but I feel like it's important to like learn in context, like learn like the impact of what you're building. So I
Yeah.
feel like that's a really great opportunity to learn more about the ecosystem and the ways that it affects our everyday lives. So, yes, July 20th is the .NET Foundation Summit 2022. Let me know if you guys plan on attending, what you're thinking about that. I feel like that's a cool situation. Let's see, we got some. Oh, We got Badger. Badger's in the building. Just an idea. I think you could totally utilize MD Book for those notes. Host on GitHub pages will make adding code snippets a bit easier for examples. Oh, that is a great idea. Use Markdown to make the notes. Oh, wow. That's a great idea, Badger. Thank you so much. I feel like that could be a really fun, helpful addition to the resources that we have in our server. So, great idea. That's a great idea. I like that. Okay, so we'll get rid of this. We have Badger says, I can be useful sometimes. Badger, you're useful.
Yeah, he likes him.
You're amazing. You are amazing, Badger. Okay, so what we have here is our roadmap front end Blazor application. Let's see. We are in the program.cs file. And then what we have here is our backend, our web API application, our REST API application, to be more specific. And then just to let you know, I also have Docker running at this very moment. So, and that was very interesting to learn. So it looks like, let me make sure there's nothing running in the terminal. That looks good. This looks good as well. Let's see, let's double check. Okay. So I say, let's start with building our service. So what we want to do is we want to create a data folder. Let's see right here, new folder. Let's label it or name it data service. And I want to ask you this, Gabriel, because I want to make sure I'm understanding this. And if you don't know the answer, like, sure, cool. My thing is, how do you know when you're looking at a service, at a web service or a data service, whatever it's, however it's labeled? How do you know when you're looking at a service? Could you explain that a little bit? Do you know?
How do you know when you're looking at a service?
Yes, like what are like key like components of a service? How do you know? And I ask this, let me pull up my notes as well. Web services. And okay, I'll give you the floor to talk a little bit. What do you think? Like, is it seeing a constructor? Like, how do you know when you're looking at a service?
Okay, so basically, a service is just like any other class, right? So you have the namespace, you have the class, you have methods in it, and it's more like it's also resembles a controller. It also resembles a repository and stuff like that, right? So, but then you're naming a service, if you're trying to abstract the functionality that you're trying to create in a particular class, right? Such that you're not doing most of what you need to do in the controller, right? So I'm speaking in terms of an API right now. So you want to carry out some functionality, but you don't want to do all of those stuff in the controller. You want it in controller, then you could create a service that would carry out those functionality, right?
Okay.
And then if you want to say that you want to look at it and know that this is a service, then you probably know that okay, it's not inheriting from a controller, so this is not a control. It's not inheriting from a controller, so this isn't a controller, right? But then if it's just carrying out some functionality without a controller, then it is a service.
Okay.
So to speak, right?
Yeah.
Generally, it's kind of tricky.
Yeah, and that's what I was wondering.
Isn't a service.
Oh, Cecil is in the building. Can we highlight this? I think we can. I think where we failed as an industry is how we've overloaded terms. Services can mean so many different things. Oh, wow.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for that. Because I was wondering, like, when I was doing my research yesterday, I was thinking, like, okay, what is the difference between a service and a controller? And I was wondering, like, maybe if we see anything that involves like calling an HTTP client, that right there is a service. That's what I was wondering. And it kind of, or if you see a
Not
task, an
really.
async, what was that?
Yeah, not really. Not really, because then you could also call your HTTP client in your controller, right? And that doesn't make it a service. So, yeah, like Cecil said, right, it could mean so many different things. But basically, a lot of persons use service to kind of abstract functionalities from, let's say, a controller or something else.
Okay. Well, I think we can try our best to understand what we're going to be looking at today. And I I will say this, like yesterday I learned why we use async when building the service that we're building. And these are my notes that I have. It says web services also use asynchronous communication to address the latency issue that arises due to requests from remote locations across the internet. This allows the execution of background tasks for the client, such as responding to user interactions, until the actual completion of the web service request. So, because of the fact that we like these requests are happening where you're requesting information from all over the internet from different locations, um, because of that, it can take some time. And so you need these things to be happening. It doesn't matter the order, it just needs to happen so that the information can be there. Does does that make sense? Am I explaining that correctly?
Um, well, yeah, to a reasonable extent, right? Right. So yeah, right. I'm not really good with these terminologies, right?
And that's okay. I feel like
Okay.
this is like a
Yeah,
learning situation for all of us.
yeah. So before we come to this, I'd also want us to go back a bit to the comments. Cecil said, think about controllers as classes that can return and process any type of HTTP message.
Mm,
So that's how you could know controllers, right? So
mhm,
there are classes that return
mhm,
and process any type of HTTP message, right? So
mhm.
services wouldn't be able to do that, but controllers will be able to do that.
Okay,
All right.
and
So
return.
coming back to asynchronous programming or async and await. So the reason why you probably want to use an await or async
Mhm,
is if you do not want um, your code to be held down by a particular line or command.
mhm,
So you're probably trying to call an API, but you do not
mhm.
want your code or how do I put this now? You don't want your code to be held back by that stuff. So you
Yeah,
add an await to it so that it moves on to do other stuff while waiting for the response from that command that you're trying to get a response from. Right. So
that
that's
makes
how I
perfect
can explain
sense.
without
Yes.
all of the terminologies.
No speed bumps with a sync and a wait. That's how I look at it. So, okay. So we are going to create the language service class. But before we do that, we need to create the interface. So I am going to create a new file and title it I to signify that it is an interface class, I language service CS. So I language service class. I'm going to add, and maybe I should have done this before, but I think it will all tie up in the end and we'll be okay. But let's see. So using system. Using system .http. And don't worry, I have not like memorized any of this stuff at all. I have a project that, like the project that I was working on yesterday, I have it on my GitHub and I'm just looking, I'm looking back at it right now. So yeah, I want to make sure that is clear.
And that's fine. That's actually
Yeah,
fine.
yeah, because like this is a lot of information. I just want to be honest. So using system dot
While you're doing
text.
this, actually, so Badger said something. The fun part is figuring out when to use task over value task. I must be honest,
Oh,
I'm just hearing value task for the first time,
yeah. I've never
right?
even heard of that before.
I've never heard of value task, right? So, Badger, do you mind explaining that? I could just do a quick Google search to find out what that is.
That's a great idea. I like that. Oh, I should create the models first. Okay, but I'll create the model. So I will also add a models. Uh-oh.
Mm.
So new folder. Close this up. Am I still under? No. I hope this doesn't mess up. Models.
I think you mean to create the model outside
Thank you. I was
in
like
the
trying
room.
to see if I was. I'm going to delete that. Okay, this is going to sound like a dumb question. How
So
do I do that? Why is
just
it like
click out, right? Click
click
underneath roadmap front end csproj. Click underneath
mm-hmm,
it.
like that
Mm,
and then click
mm,
back in?
nope.
Ah,
Yeah, underneath the csproj. Just click underneath the csproj.
great idea. Great idea.
Yeah.
So new
Now you
folder.
now you can create it.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much. It's a community effort with this. So, okay, I'm creating the models. So we have the models folder. I will be creating the language model class. The
So the
goal of
model
what
is
we're,
going to be what we're expecting, right? What we're expecting from the API.
wait, say that again?
The model, it's going to be what we are expecting from the API, right?
Right. So my
All right.
question was creating the model. Um, are we kind of copying and pasting what like the models in the API? Is that the goal? Because we are expecting certain things from that model in the API and we want it to
Mhm.
match in the front end application. Is that how you do it? Because I never asked you either. So that's what I was wondering.
Well, yeah. Well, you
It
could just
worked.
copy and paste. Yeah, yeah. So you just copy and paste it, right? Because that's the data
Yeah.
that's going to be returned. So
Yeah.
you want to map that exact data. If not, there's going to be an issue, right? So if you just copy
Yeah.
and paste the properties, and you're good to go, right?
Okay.
But
Cool.
one thing we didn't do, as like you've realized, is we didn't use a DTO when we're trying to
Yeah.
get the languages, right? So you would just use the entity model, which is okay in this case, since it is just a sample app,
It's a
right? But
sample.
anyways, if you're building your code, you might want to use a data transfer object when returning um, um, data from your database. So you just map your entity model to a data transfer object and then return that.
Okay, so I should have basically copied it from the DTO rather than the actual model, right?
Yeah, that is if, yes, exactly. That is if we use the DTO.
Got it. Thank you. Because it's, like it's certain things like, okay, you're like, am I doing this right? Is this how you do it? So I'm happy for us to discuss this right now for other people to kind of learn from my mistakes. So JSON. Oh, okay. Did you ever end up Googling, Gabriel?
Yeah, I think I did. Looked very complicated. I will say. Provides a value
You said there's a lot
that
of
wraps a
information.
T result and a T result, only one of which is used. Right. So that is the definition. Provides a value type that wraps a task T result and a T result, only one of which is used.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
The value task, right? That is.
Yeah, value task. All right.
That's some information right there.
So a value task T result instance may either be awaited or converted to a task T result using as task. Right? So I guess you can get your task T result from a value task. So Badger said, sometimes it might be confusing when to use them. I haven't used it before, so I wouldn't even know when to use it. I'm sorry about that. I'm just hearing about it for the first time. So
I feel like this is like the perfect space, though.
Yeah, I'll probably go bug Badger on the Discord, and I'm like, I'll be like, hey, Badger, come here, come explain this.
Yeah, let's talk about this a little bit more. Let's get to the bottom of this.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. So I'm creating the language model class. That's what I'm doing. But okay. I'm gonna copy and paste it because that's exactly how I did it last time. This is a copy and paste from Command Z. This is a copy and paste from the API application. So I'm just gonna reenact this. Did I do that right? Nope. Okay, now it looks better.
You would need to create the topic model. Huh? But, I would advise that you just take out the topic model for now, since we're not working with it.
Yeah, right? So I think
get back is just the ID and the name. Let's take it out.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great point. Just because I feel like that's a great topic for next stream. But I will say I think we need the topic model just to get through with this demonstration. Because there's a red squiggly line right here.
Yeah, no, what I mean is you could probably remove line 15.
Oh, okay. That's a good point.
Yeah.
And then I'll just add it back for our next stream.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so, it's looking perfect.
we just get back the ID and the name, and then we could just work with it.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so I created this. This is our language model, and then I'm going to go back to the data service that we're making. More specifically, the interface for the language service class. So we are using the roadmap front end .models. Okay, all right, we got that. And then the namespace is roadmap front end .data service. Okay. So we want to do public interface by language. I think it service. I cannot type. Oh my gosh. Language service, and then brackets or curly braces. I think that's what it's called. Task. Can you talk about what you know about interfaces? I know that, and during my research, interfaces define a contract, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it
Can you?
defines a contract or defines yeah, it defines a contract of a class that would be inheriting from it. So the implementation of that of the methods that are specified in the interface would be in a class, and I think it helps with
Testing.
polymorphism. Yeah, right. So you want a method that could probably um, be done differently in different class. Then you define a contract in an interface, and whatever class will be inheriting from that interface could implement that method in a different way from a different class, right? So that's like an advantage of interfaces. So it's not like whatever is happening beneath the hood, the interface does not care. It just knows that okay, this is the method and this is the return type. um, Whatever you're doing beneath the hood, just do it and then return this. And that contract is what you would now use in a different class to call that method.
Okay. Okay. That is a lot of information. But yeah, it's about implementation. The way that I interpreted it was that it involved testing. So if you want to test something, you only test that portion rather than the whole implementation. Like that involves like methods and all of that fun stuff. I also have something, let's see. Okay, in my notes, my question is the purpose of an interface to section off only what matters when it comes to testing?
I think everything in an interface matters. If it's in there,
Yeah.
then it matters, right? So it just it's just whatever class might be implementing it. Okay, remember the app I showed to you where we have one interface but two different classes implementing those
Yes.
methods.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you
Yes.
have a REST API implementing that method, and then you have a GraphQL API also implementing that method. So whichever class is inheriting from that interface would have that implementation given to, let's say if it's a controller that's getting that implementation, then the controller would get the implementation of the class that is inheriting from that interface. So you just kind of make the functionality dynamic in a way such that it's not hard coded. So you don't need to create a different class or a different method when you want to use that method. Okay, I think I'm complicating it right now, right? So let's say you have two classes implementing the same method, right? But the both methods have a single name. Now you could define that contract in an interface, right? At some point you want to switch between those methods. All you need to do is switch between the different class, which class is going to be inheriting that interface. So you have class one inheriting from iLanguage service. Then if the controller is using iLanguage service, it's going to be getting the method that is referenced in class one. But then if you have class two inheriting from that interface, then the
Yes.
controller is going to be getting the method in class two.
Okay. Okay. I think I get it. And I also want to add from my notes, let's see, database access classes like entity framework contacts are recommended to be, is this something different? It could be like, that might not
You're probably
be that
looking at
then.
something else.
I know, right? It was talking about scoped and like singletons and transients. I'm like, okay, wait a minute, hold up. An interface is just a set of definitions that you must implement in your class inheriting that interface. An interface defines a contract.
So like I said, all the methods that are defined in the interface or specified in the interface must be implemented
Okay.
in the class inheriting it. So you cannot have an interface defining two methods and then the class that's inheriting it is just implementing one of those methods.
One
That
of the
wouldn't work.
methods. It wouldn't even make
Error.
sense.
It has to
Yeah.
implement both methods.
Yes. Okay. Awesome. I feel like we've talked about this enough. People are like, all right, we get it. Okay. So new file. I'm creating the language service class, which will be inheriting from the interface language service class, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So I'm just adding the using statements. .net, .http. I can just like copy and paste this. Based on text. I think I'm kind of like getting like a flashback that also interfaces can be seen as a blueprint, so that no matter who uses that service, like in whatever project, it still has that blueprint.
Yep. So I think blueprint is a good word for it, right? So a blueprint kind of describes how my understanding of a blueprint describe how a structure should be built, right?
Yes, yes.
All
So that
right.
whoever
So
else like takes that blueprint, like they also know how that structure will be built as well.
all right. So so the interface defines the method and then the class implements the method.
That makes sense. So I'm creating the class, language service class that inherits from its interface. My language service. And then in this
So at this point,
class,
it's going to
yes.
take error because we've not implemented the interface method yet.
Yeah, okay. So we are going to be, at this point, we are going to create the HTTP client request. I guess creating like the,
so
okay, how do you describe that?
Right, so I think what you're doing right now is called dependency injection. You're injecting.
Thank you so much.
Client.
Yes.
Yeah, dependency injection. So you're injecting HTTP clients into your class constructor so that you can use it in your class.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I kind of have forgot in the moment. So language, we're doing the dependency injection for the HTTP client. Okay, so we're using a constructor at this point.
Yeah.
We're injecting it with a constructor or using a constructor.
Yeah. So the constructor just the constructor is the method that starts once you call a class. It's the method, like the first method that starts, right? So once you call the class, then the constructor starts and then creates an instance of HTTP clients to be used in that class.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, so that you don't need
yes.
to new up HTTP clients at any point in time when you're trying to use it.
And so this is the point where we are going to be implementing the interface, the public async task. We are going to title this language model array. And it languages async. And then this will be a method. And then this is where we define the implementation of that class using the interface. The client dot get from JSON language array. And then we are going to add the URL at this point.
So you're trying to get you're calling an endpoint right now, and the endpoint is going to be returning a language model. So get from JSON signifies that it's a get request, and then language model array signifies that you're getting an array or a list of languages, right?
Right.
Awesome.
See,
Okay,
I'm
so I
just trying
think
to
there's a
figure out.
problem on 20.
Yeah. What is the problem with this one? And this is the URL that was created, the endpoint that was created from the REST API that we built.
Okay.
Am I missing?
Yeah,
Oh,
so
I'm
I think
missing
you
the
need a
semicolon.
closing curly brace. Yeah. Sorry,
Yeah.
semicolon. Then I
Let's see
think
what
put your
else.
cursor over it. There should be a message. I think it's saying something about null. Yeah, possible null reference.
Null.
It's saying something about you could get null from this request.
Yes.
But
Will this
it's
end
just
our project, or could we like ignore this?
yeah. I for right now we can ignore it. However, say you don't want this one in, you could probably store it in a variable and then run a check to find out if it's null. And there's some other stuff that you can probably do. But
yes.
line 10 is still showing a warning saying does not implement
interface member.
Okay, so let's go into the interface. I think there's a problem with the spelling of async in the interface.
Oh,
yeah, so there's no
okay, cool. Yeah. Let's see. Ooh.
All right.
I'm gonna go back
that should
over
fix it.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed. Awesome.
Yeah, fixed.
Okay, cool. And so you were saying this is not okay, client is not null here. I think we can ignore that and it'll go away. Okay, Badger says you can either, let's see, you can either ignore it or add a question mark after language model, or just put an exclamation mark at the end of your JSON call to suppress message. Okay. Let's see.
So I think we should go with a question mark. Let's see.
Okay, let's try that out and see. Ooh.
No. Okay. Well,
Wait,
you
did I
didn't
do
need to
that
put
right?
it down.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure you needed. You don't need to put it down there, so it's fine up there. But
Okay,
then the
cool.
warning is let me see. Doesn't much remember. Okay. So you need to do the same thing in your interface.
Great idea. Great point. All right,
Yep.
let's check
So
this
that should
out.
work.
Beautiful. Okay. So in this client, okay, yeah, the question mark indicates the value can be null. Yes. Thank you for that. So yeah, when I look at this line 22, it to me, what it says to me is that in this client request, we will be getting an array of the language model, like whatever comes through from the REST API in the form of the language model. It will be pulled into the client request from JSON. And then, at this endpoint, whatever is at this endpoint in the API or like in Docker, it will be pulled as an array of the model. So, like, say, for example, if it's more than one language that we have in the database, that like each, so like C# with an ID of 1, F# ID 2, that is an array of information in the form of the model that we have built and created. And
Yeah.
so we're getting this information from JSON, like it's in JSON form, and we're pulling it into through the client request. Right. Does that sound like it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm on point. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Let's see. So the language service class is built. Amazing. Let's see. What is the next step? Let's see. Pages. Let's go to pages. This is where we will see the information in our Blazor web app. Like when we do .NET run and then the app is running, that is where we will see it. So I'm going to click into pages and add a new file called language.razor. So it'll be a Razor file. And, I'm going to cheat a little. The good part about Blazor is that, certain things are already presented. And maybe I'm wondering what will be better for you guys, if we start from scratch or if we copy and paste from fetch data. What do you think, Gabriel? How do you want to do this? Do you want to start from scratch? Because what we did, we copied and pasted and then just kind of removed information that we
I'm tempted to say copy and paste.
Copy and paste. We can copy. Let's keep it real. Come on now. Let's copy and paste then. Shoot. It's there for a reason. That's the point.
Things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's freaking do it then. Oh, you know what? I'm messing up. You taught me Command A. Here we go. Command A will highlight everything that you need on that page. And look, it's pasted. Awesome. Okay. So this is the language.razor class or file. So
in the routes,
I'm going to change this bad boy right here. to language, because that is the title of the page. Let's see, what do I have? So we will be using, we're going to add using, a using statement, because we will be using our models. Okay, so we have injected right here. And this, okay, that's fine. We have the HTTP client and it's titled HTTP. We will be injecting, oh, I'm misspelling, inject by language service. So we'll be injecting the interface. And titling it language service. Okay. I hope there is nothing wrong with this squiggly. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so I know the issue. I know the issue. First, we need to
sorry
add.
for coming up so far.
Oh no. I'm sorry. I feel like we're both just so excited to present what we've learned, because it was a situation Wednesday and Thursday just trying to figure out like what is happening. And we went different routes, it didn't work, and now we're here with what we have learned. So let's see. What were you gonna say, Gabriel?
Yeah, I wanted to say that you need the using statement, so you need using data service up there, so that it could reference, because that's the namespace of our interface. So
Yes.
right there in Language.razor, you need to bring in the namespace.
Yes, that's a good point.
So
I also want to
that will be
touch on, yes, I also want to touch on that. I think what helps with something like that is the imports.razor. Um, it's like once you put it there, it's everywhere in your project. So from my understanding, so I think that's what we ended up doing. We added
yeah.
the data and we added the data namespace to the imports.razor, so that it's shared with all of the Razor pages or Razor files. So using roadmap front end dot data. And I think that is what helped us last time. So roadmap front end data.
So you have to name it data service.
Data service. Thank you so much.
You have to name it data service. Yeah, because the folder
Perfect.
is called data
Perfection.
service.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Okay, let's see.
I kind of actually forgot about the imports.razor page.
Right?
Where you can bring in all your imports and it's available to all your static files. Forgot about that. Sorry.
Yes, no, it's super helpful. That's what I just kind of realized that like in this moment and yesterday is like, oh, this is for our Razor file. So if you need to import something or use a using statement, honestly,
Just add it
probably
in
like
there.
even the using models, I feel like we could even add that to the imports Razor, and maybe let's test it out. I'm curious. I'm going to test that out and see if we even need, let's see, roadmap front end dot models. We probably don't even need that in the file. Let's see. Oh, models. Okay, here we go. Okay, let's go here. And unnecessary is
So
going to
you need
say, yep, here we go. We're learning. We can remove that. And I think it should be fine. Let's see. Okay. So we are building the language razor file. We're going to change this. We're going to change the page title to all languages. And then change weather forecast to the language list. Language list. And we can keep this if we want, because it is fetching data from the server. So let's see, let's change this. What I want to do is I want to change the code at the bottom first, since this is like the HTML that it's kind of pulling from. So let's change the code on the bottom first. We can get rid of this weather forecast class. Oh, I think I deleted one too many curly braces. So the weather forecast. And then right here, we can change this right here. So we will change the weather forecast to the language model. So the way that I understand this is that we are creating an instance of the language model, and the information that we will be using from the REST API. We will title this languages. And then let's see, protected override, async task. That looks good. We're going to update this to languages. The languages equals await. And I think this is unnecessary because this is already in the language service class. Like, we can delete this part. Let me see. Let me go back to the Razor. So this is something that's already been defined. So then that means we can basically get rid of this, since it was already defined in the service class.
That's true.
So language service dot get languages async. I'm going to add the semicolon. Okay, the squiggly line went away, thank goodness. Okay, and now we are going to update our HTML to reflect the new information and the new code. So we're going to change this from forecast to languages. And what we want is we want this information to be presented in a table. And however, we don't need that many columns.
Yeah, we just need for
only
ID and name.
Yes. So let's see. Name. Change this to name. And we will change this to language ID. And then we're getting into for each. We're going to update this to language in languages. I'm just going to copy and paste this. Okay, let's see. We can get rid of this.
So just take 2 out of there.
Yeah. And then update this. Language dot name. Update this as well. Language dot ID.
Yes, I think you need to remove the brackets from line 29.
Thank you
It's
so
just
much.
a name. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, perfect. It was worrying me for a second. Let's see. I think, is that it? I know we're not done yet. We're very close to being done. I think what we need to
Yeah.
do is add a couple things into the csproj file, as well as we need to register the service in the program.cs file. So we can't forget to do that as well. So let's see, it looks looking good. All of the weather forecast information, it looks like it's been removed, and we've updated it for the language list. So, but let's take a step into the csproj file, because we did make some changes to that file in order to make this possible. So let's see, what did we add? Okay, we added the Microsoft extensions.http, and then we also added the system.net.http.json. So I will add that here. Okay. And then we're going to step into the program.cs to register the service that we created. So,
Why is there a problem with the app.razor?
uh-oh, drama. Wait, language. Oh, what the heck? It tried to scare us.
That's
Oh, and
Visual
that's one
Studio
thing.
doing its thing.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say, I also want to add in the under shared. It was a nice little reminder. I also want to add, let's see, I want to add the link to the nav menu as well. So I'll do that last. But getting back to program.cs, because I want to register the service. Builder.service. Services. Add HTTP client. And then we're going to put language interface first, because that is the standard. And then we're going to add language service. So what am I missing? What is the prob? So we have builder.services.add HTTP client. We have language service. Am I forget? Oh, I see it. I see it. Okay. Right here.
I was waiting for you to say it.
Thank you. Let's see. Is there anything else? What?
So now you need the using statement for iLanguage service and language service.
Thank you so
And
much.
you could
Thank you.
just get that quickly by, you could type it out also, but you could get quickly by just using control period, and then gives you the clue. Remember that?
Period. Oh, let's see. Command. Oh yeah, good point. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, command period. I keep forgetting that
Command.
you're using a Mac.
Yeah, I'm a MacBook person. Okay, and then we're also going to add
Yeah,
a couple more using statements. Microsoft dot ASP net 4, and then using Microsoft dot extensions dot dependency injection. I know we're getting towards the end. I'm just really excited. It's going to be so much fun for me to see this all come to life. Let's see what else. Am I missing anything else, Gabriel? I'll do the command period
Let's
again.
see. Does not contain a definition for this. Why is it doing that?
Introduce local for builder.services.add HTTP client. That's weird.
No, 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 no. That isn't it. What else? We did something yesterday.
Hmm.
This was faced yesterday. Can't remember what the solution was.
I know, and it just now
Let's
started
see.
acting weird. Okay, let's see. Let's get into it. Um,
Hmm.
so I am going to look. So we've covered the imports.razor.
Um, can you do a .NET build? I think when you brought in the packages in the
Yeah,
csproj,
it could just be
we didn't
acting weird.
restore the project. So probably need to do .NET build to restore the project, and probably that would fix it.
Ah! Fingers crossed.
Yeah, let's see.
Okay.
Uh, I was thinking probably .NET restore also, but let's see. Yeah, I think that fixed it actually.
Okay, cool. Yay! Okay, it's so beautiful. I love it. All right. Okay,
Yeah,
let's go to the nav menu now. Because I want this to show up in the navigation bar when we first
that
run
makes
Blazor.
sense.
So let's see, nav menu. I'm just going to go in here, copy and paste the fetch data again. Fetch data is so convenient.
It's been very useful.
Been very useful for us. Okay, so what does this call the page again? Is it language or languages? Okay, language. So we'll just change fetch data to language, and then we will change this to
Language
languages. Or
or
we can do,
languages,
yeah,
yeah,
we
that's
can
fine.
language. Okay, cool. Let's see. So yeah, that looks good. How do you want to do this? Do you want to run the API application first and test that and make sure that looks okay? Or do you want to run Blazor first? How do you want to do this?
So you should run the API because the API would need to be running for you to test the Blazor, but you don't need to test it out on
Brilliant.
Postman or wherever. Just run it and then run the Blazor and let's test it
Cool.
on Blazor. Because we've tested it before and it worked and it's going to work again.
It's going to work again. I love it. I love the energy. It will work again. Okay. So let's do this. So .NET run.
Let's give it a couple of seconds to run.
The waiting. Oh, wait.
Okay,
Yay.
yeah,
Okay,
it's
I'm going to play
running.
this. Okay. All right. So we're going to go localhost.
So let's run the Blazor app now.
Okay. Actually, let's see. I will say this because I do want to add a couple more languages to our database. I just feel like it looks so like it could be a little bit prettier. So let's just go. Let's go to, okay, let's see. Let's get languages. Let's test this out. I'm going to test this out.
Yeah, so this is the API so that
So this is it.
so that
Yes.
they are not confused. This
Yes,
is
this
not
is
the
the
Blazor
API, but I
API.
want to try out, like, I want to add some more languages just so we can see, like, can show how beautiful this is. So F sharp, we're going to add F sharp. Okay. And then I also want to add, let's say Python. We can do Python. Okay. And then let's add Java. Okay. Awesome. So we're going to close this up and we are going to test the Blazor project now. So let's do this. We're going to do .NET run. I'm so excited. Oh, please work. It will work. It's too perfect to not work. The waiting. It can't. Oh, gosh. That was like the longest time. I was like, do it. Work. Okay, it's loading. I'm gonna click and drag it over here.
Okay.
I hope I'm not glitching
Fingers
as this is loading.
crossed.
That'll be really lame.
Drum roll.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, let's click onto it. OMG.
Yay.
Yay! I wonder why it's showing up like as the ID. I wonder why it's showing up like that. That's so strange.
Yeah, actually, I've experienced this quite a number of times, and still
Yeah.
don't know why this happens. It happens mostly when you're using integers um, for your IDs, right? So
Yeah.
sometimes after a while, it just jumps from single digits to multiple digits. I don't know why that happens. Like I've done a couple of research on that, but I haven't really gotten an answer yet, and I kind of just ignored it because I mostly
You're
don't.
like,
I mostly don't work with integers as my IDs. I kind of work with grids or yeah.
okay. 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 That's a good point. Yeah, I'm so happy. Look at it. It's so beautiful.
So
And
we
it
have
works.
all our four languages on the screen. We've created the APIs. We're now fetching from the APIs with our Blazor app, and it looks really, really good.
Oh my goodness. Is so do we
Oh,
okay.
where's your clap? Can we have your clap? Let's have
Oh,
your clap.
yes. Good point. Yes. I have to do it. I have to do it. It only makes sense. It only makes sense. It feels good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've made progress.
Awesome.
We've made this. Just a couple of months back, we started with our APIs. Now we're displaying data from the API on our Blazor front end.
I'm so
Interesting.
excited. I'm so excited right
Exciting.
now. I'm trying to contain myself. I might need Docker. Okay. Okay, that was a little corny. Okay, so what do you think for next week's stream? Is this where we are going to show like the front end for the topics and the subtopics and just trying to figure out how to get that information? What do you think?
Well, I think we still have some other stuff to do on
Mm-hmm.
languages. We want to get a single language. We want to uh, post or create a language from our Blazor app,
Mm-hmm.
probably update a language, probably delete a language, right? So there's
Yeah.
still quite some things to do before we start thinking of um, of our topics, and I think if we were able to do all of the CRUD operations on a language with our Blazor app, just the same principle works for topics, right? So if we're able to
Yeah.
create a language, then we could use same principle to create a topic. If we're able to get a language or a list of languages, then we could use same principles to work on topics. So at the end of the day, when we're done creating, reading, and updating, deleting a language, then we can use same principle to work on our topics and the likes.
Awesome. I'm literally like, I'm really excited. Like, it was so awesome to just kind of see like how far we've come, like with me not knowing what I was looking at. And then like just kind of trying to figure out, okay, how to test this out in Blazor. I've never done a REST API before, like completely. And then to try to figure out how to consume it using Blazor, like, I'm not gonna lie, it was scary. And you don't want to look like you don't know what you're talking about, like on like during the streams and stuff, and like you don't know what you're doing. So just to see this all happening is so fun and exciting for me. And yeah, I can't wait to learn more. It's gonna be awesome. And I hope that you guys also feel the same way as well. And I'm sure you do. So yeah, okay, let's see. Let's go back through the chat. Let's see, because they were talking about value tasks. Let's see. I think Badger was saying, honestly, it doesn't really make sense to me on when to use them appropriately. I've been using task, but discovered value task recently. Let's see. Let's see if Cecil says
Was a whole
value
lot of
task.
conversation.
It was a conversation that we were missing out on. So now it's time to kind of go back. So Cecil was saying value task was created to handle situations when your result may return synchronously or asynchronously. That's the short version. Oh, wow. Okay. So that it could be potentially a synchronous operation as well. So you're giving consideration to that, I guess. Because if it was just task, it would be completely async. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, so I think when you're working with tasks, it's completely asynchronous, right? So value task is kind of giving you an option of both asynchronous return or async, both synchronous or asynchronous. So that kind of makes sense in a way, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think I understand that. Anyways, I would love to see how it works or see
Me
it in
too.
use, and that will probably help me understand it better.
Yes, me too. I feel like that could be something fun to learn and to talk about. So let's see. I feel like that's pretty much it for the stream. Let me do this real quick. Yeah, it seems like that's pretty much it. I had to like bring up the outro music because that's fun and that's new. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Right. Something different. To wrap up the show.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't really have anything left to say other than if you want to reach out to me, if you have any questions, you can go on my website, Elahn Codes. All of my information is there. Gabriel, what about you?
Yeah, you could reach out to me on my website, also egabriel.dev, or my Twitter underscore code is CODEASE underscore CODEASE.
So yes.
Yeah.
And then my Twitter, I should add my Twitter too. Oh, my Twitter is underneath. Echo the lightning. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in and sticking with us. We look forward to the next stream, which will be next Friday. If you have any questions, yeah, reach out to us. on our website. If you're interested in joining the .NET Book Study Discord server, the link to the website is in the description box below. Yeah, thanks, and have a great rest of your Friday.
I'm dancing.
Yeah, yeah, I should dance too. Like. All right, bye everybody.
Bye, everyone.